book, 7 Arrows. When I was in my 20s, 40 years ago, I encountered this book, and it's a wonderful book. And the story of Jumping Mouse is within the book. And this is the spiritual journey of a mouse. So listen for your place in this journey and the way it relates. Once, there was a mouse. He was a very busy mouse. He was going about doing the mouse things that he would do. He was eating seeds. He was gathering grass. He was doing all these mouse things, as every mouse does, checking his email, checking his phone, doing all these things. And he heard this sound. There was a roaring in his ears. He looked up and waved his whiskers. He listened, and he couldn't tell what it was. So he went back to doing mouse things, busy gathering food, gathering seeds. He came upon another mouse and said, "Did you hear that roaring in your ears?" That mouse didn't even look up. "I'm busy now. Go away." He went and asked another mouse, "Have you heard that roaring in your ears?" That mouse looked at him, startled. You must be a fool. Go away." And he went and hid in a hole of the cottonwood tree. But he kept hearing that silent roaring in his ears. And one day he decided he had to go follow it. He kept that sound, and he followed to where that sound was. He was listening very intently when, "Hello, little brother." He just about jumped out of his skin. It was Brother Raccoon. "Hello, little mouse. Why are you all alone, away from the other mice?" "Oh, well," he looked a little embarrassed. "There's this roaring in my ears. I wanted to find out what it is." Oh, that roaring. That roaring is the river. It's the great river of life. Why, I will take you to see the river if you want to see the river." "Oh, I would love to see the river." And so the mouse went with the raccoon. And they traveled through strange lands and strange smells. And many of those smells smelled like animals that would eat mice. Jumping Mouse was scared. He wanted to run away, but he kept going. And he got to the edge of the river. When he got to the river, he could see life flowing past on the river. Why, it was all around him. There were rough areas where the current was going. There were areas where it got muddy and areas where it got calm. Why, he was amazed. He looked over and looked into the river, and he saw a very frightened mouse. What are you doing out in the river? Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid so far out?" And this voice answered, "I'm not afraid." It was Brother Frog. Brother Frog was out on a lily pad in the river. "I'm not afraid of the river. I live above and below the river. I am the keeper of the water." And the raccoon said, "This is my friend, Brother Frog. He will teach you about the river. He will show you wondrous ways. I must go and look for some food to wash and clean and eat. But I will leave you with my friend, the frog." And the frog said, Little mouse, would you like some medicine?" And the mouse was startled. He said, Am I sick?" Not that type of medicine. Medicine power. Medicine that teaches you about yourself. Some call it magic. "If you'd like some medicine, crouch as low as you can." And he crouched as low as he could and jump as high as you can. And the mouse jumped. And when he jumped, he saw across the river. He saw across the plains. He saw across the trees. He saw these beautiful mountains. He was looking at those beautiful mountains. And he started to come back down, and he splashed into the river. He thought he was going to drown. He was going, and the frog was going, "What did you see, little brother?" "Oh, you tricked me. You tried to kill me." He was trying to swim back. He dragged himself onto shore. And the frog said, "What did you see?" "Oh, well, I saw these beautiful mountains." "Yes, you saw those beautiful mountains. And you, little brother, you have a new name." "A new name? Me?" "Your name is Jumping Mouse." Jumping Mouse. Jumping Mouse. Why, I would love to go tell the other mice about this journey that I've heard of and this wonderful place. Is just keep the sound. Keep the sound of the river at your back, and you will find your way back to the mice. And he found his way back to his mouse community, and when he got there, they all looked at him. They all looked at him, and he was wet. It hadn't rained in a long time. So they all assumed that this mouse must be a poison mouse. Somebody must have tried to eat him and spat him out because he was poisonous. And if he was a poison mouse, he would be poisonous to them. So none of them would even talk to them. He was alone. He was there. He tried to busy eat seeds, gather grass, and do those mouse things. But he had no community left. And that vision of the mountains kept calling to him. So he walked to the river, following the sounds, and he got there and he looked, and Brother Raccoon was there at the river. He told Brother Raccoon that he wanted to go see the mountains, and Brother Raccoon gave him a ride across the river. He crawled onto his back, and Brother Raccoon swam across the river. He crawled out on the other side, and there was the prairie in front of him. The prairie is a very scary place for mice because there's the shadows and the spots up in the sky that are eagles and hawks that like to eat mice. He looked up at the sky and he got his courage and he started to run, and he ran and he ran and he ran as fast as he could, and he came to a clump of sage. It was a beautiful sage bush. There was many bushes together. It was a spot where there was lots of food, lots of shelter, lots of places. Why, it was the most wonderful place he had ever been to. And there he met this wise old mouse. It was a fat mouse. He said, "Oh, welcome, my friend. You can stay here forever. You have everything you need." And Jumping Mouse said, why, this is beautiful. Why, can you see the river and the mountains from here?" Well, the wise mouse kind of shook and said, "Well, yes and no. I've heard of the river. The river's a wonderful place, the river of life. But the mountains don't exist. If you want to stay here, you have to forget about the mountains. They're not real." And Jumping Mouse had seen them with his own eyes. He knew the mountains were real. He was caught in this dilemma. There's everything that he wants. He has everything he needs. But he knows it's based on a lie. And so he decided he needed to continue his quest to see the mountains. He got to the edge of that sage bush and he got up his courage. And the old mouse came and saw him and said, "You're a fool to go off. Those spots will get you." He said, "I need to go." And he took off running. And he was running as fast as he could. He was running again. He was running and running and running. And he came to a clump of choke cherries. And these choke cherries, again, there was food, there was coolness there was some moisture, there was everything he needed. And as he was there in the choke cherries, he heard this sound. He heard the sound of breathing. He heard that sound of breathing, and he wandered around, and there was a great mound of hair. Why, that mound of hair to that mouse appeared bigger than this whole church. It was a huge mound of hair. It was rising and falling. He got out, he curled, and he walked around. Why, there were 4 hoofs. There was a head. There were great horns. He looked, and the buffalo that was laying there on the ground shook his head. Oh, hello, little brother. Who is that that's come to visit me? Oh, it's great to see you. Why, you are such a great being. Oh, I may be a great being, but I am dying. I am dying, and my medicine says that only the eye of a mouse could save me, and there is no such thing as a mouse. No such thing as a mouse? Jumping Mouse was taken aback a little bit. He thought, my eye could make this buffalo whole again? He had to run out and say, Buffalo, I am a mouse. And if my eye can make you whole, then you can have one of my 2 eyes. And at that point, the eye popped out of his head. It flew in, and the buffalo took a great breath and jumped to his feet and said, "Hello, little brother Jumping Mouse." And that great buffalo stood nose to nose with that tiny mouse. "I know about your journey to see the sacred river, to see the sacred mountains. I am the guardian of the prairies. I can run across the prairies, and you can run underneath me. You will be safe from the eagles." And he started to run. And Jumping Mouse ran underneath. And as the hooves thundered and the ground shook, Jumping Mouse was frightened. He couldn't see on one side, but he ran and he ran and he ran and he ran, and finally the buffalo stopped. And when this frightened, terrified mouse crawled out from under the buffalo laughed and said, You should know, I know where my feet go. I walk in the way of the Sundance. I would not step on you. But I must go back to the prairie. I can't go up the mountains. The mountains are not safe for someone like me. I'd fall down and roll over and squish you. I must go back to the prairie so I can give away so the people can live. But this trail, wander up that way and you will find guardians that will take you there. And Jumping Mouse thanked the buffalo and he started up. He started up the trail and he encountered new berries, new smells. He was looking through his one eye and he was running around looking at these things, and he came upon, why, it looked almost dead. There was a wolf on the ground. He said, "Brother Wolf, are you okay?" "Wolf, wolf, 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 wolf." The wolf lifted up his head and it's like the light went out of his eyes and went back down. Brother Wolf, aren't you okay? Can't you get up?" "Wolf, wolf." He jumped up, he ran around in a circle, he ran into a tree and fell back down. Brother Wolf, aren't you okay? Why, one of my eyes, it made the buffalo whole. Perhaps my other eye could help you." And at that moment, that eye popped out of his head. And it went into the wolf, and the wolf stood up and howled, "Oh!" And he was crying, but Jumping Mouse could not see him. Jumping Mouse was blind. But that wolf said, nose to nose with that mouse, "I am the guardian of the mountains. I will take you up to the beautiful Medicine Lake up on the mountain. It is the most beautiful lake in the world, and the water is wonderful medicine. I will take you there, and I will be your eyes." And as they walked up the mountain, the wolf described there was a butterfly that landed. Its wings brushed against Jumping Mouse. He described the butterfly. He led the mouse to berries, to seeds. There was an overlook that they looked out, and the wolf described everything they could see. He took him right up to the edge of that Medicine Lake, right up to where Jumping Mouse could feel the water with his whiskers, could drink the water. And the wolf told Jumping Mouse, "I need to go back down so I can guide others up the mountain. But I'll stay here as long as you want." And Jumping Mouse said, "No, you need to go. You need to help others." And Jumping Mouse was alone there at the edge of that lake. He could feel the sun shining down on him. He could feel the spots flying over him. He could hear the sound of the eagles. He couldn't see anything. He thought about getting up and running, but he was blind. He didn't know where he would go. He was there, and he drank a little more of that Medicine Lake, and it was like he went into a long sleep. It was already black, but every thought, everything went silent. And he wasn't sure how long it had been silent. And then he was like waking up, and he opened his eyes, and it was blurry. There was light. I could see it was blurry, and the vision came closer, and he was looking down from way up on high. He was looking down while he could see the Medicine Lake below him. He could see the mountain. He could see the prairies. He could see the buffaloes out in the fields, in the prairie. Why, he could see his friend Frog there on the lily pad. Why, it was so beautiful. He was looking at Frog, and Frog said, "Hello, little brother." "Oh, hello, Frog." "Oh, hello, Jumping Mouse. Jumping Mouse, would you like more medicine magic?" "Oh, I would love more." "Then crouch as low as you can." And he crouched as low as he could. "And jump as high as you can." And he jumped as high as you could. And when he jumped, the wind blew under his arms and blew them out, and he was hanging on the wind. He was flying there on the wind. And he looked down, and the frog looked up and said, "Little brother, you have a new name. You are the eagle." And that's the story of Jumping Mouse. So I want to invite you in your life to be awake to those moments of spiritual journey, to that little voice, to those roarings in your ear that invite you to explore that curiosity and take you on a journey. And as you're on that journey and gifts are asked from you, know that to give a gift is not a bargain. It's not, "I'm giving you this gift so you'll give me that back in return." It's giving a gift because it's the right thing to do. So I want to celebrate the spiritual journey that each of us are on. It's a different journey for all of us, but we all carry special gifts, and we all have special invitations. So that's the story of Jumping Mouse. I hope you enjoyed it.